we have no real media in this state. Well, you have us.
It's really time for a parent revolution.
Never let a good crisis go to waste. That's what the left did with COVID in so many different ways.
Wind energy, especially offshore wind, is a big loser and just another government boondoggle.
Like, what's going on?
People are fed up. They lied to us then. They're lying to us now. They're assaulting our families.
What we do is we look at the lies of the left that they keep pushing out, that America doesn't work for black people. That is not true.
They want to now monopolize truth and say, truth is only what we say truth is. Damn the data, damn the science.
The key with science is it always needs to serve objective thinking. They just call anyone who challenges them a science deniers.
They're evil.
Shut up or we'll cancel you.
What we're going through is a cultural revolution.
This is big, and this is how change begins.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Ocean State Current Command Bunker. Now playing from In the Dugout, number 37, Mike Stenhouse.
Today, a little bit different In the Dugout podcast. No politics, no public issues. Today we're going to talk about the big diamond. No, not the big one that's on my wife's finger. We're going to talk about this big diamond. A book about baseball, my favorite topic. A kid's book, an adult's book. I read it. It's great. We're going to meet and talk with the author right now. Hey, folks, welcome to In the Dugout. Mike Stenhouse, your host here. I want to bring on right away the author of this book, which I read. Very easy read on my one-way plane ride out to the West Coast. A great read. Jc Roberto, welcome to In the Dugout.
How you doing, Mike? I appreciate you having me on.
You're coming to us from Boston in the heart of Red Sox Nation. You're a Red Sox fan. Lean back a little and show everybody that shirt you've got on. Now, before you tell everyone who it is, I want to quiz our audience. The Knights. Come on now. You all know who the Knights are. Now, JC's going to give you a hint in a second. Show them that thing on the side of your cap.
So we got a little thunderbolt on the baseball cap.
All right. So we got the Knights. We got the Thunderbolt. Give them one more clue, JC.
We'll show you the front of the hat. How about that?
All right. The New York Knights. Should we add Robert Redford into it?
Yeah, Robert Redford. Why not?
All right. Of course, we're talking about, tell him, JC.
We're talking about the natural, Roy Hobbs.
One of the great baseball movies ever. And I didn't even know before I saw you could buy Knights shirts and paraphernalia. JC, before we get into your book, I mean, in talking with you and reading your book, I mean, you are just a baseball fanatic.
I am for sure. I'm a baseball enthusiast, as I've said, and I tell people, depending on who you talk to, I'm a nut when it comes to baseball. I am from the very young age of, I started T-ball 4 or 5 years old up until, now that I'm 33. For the most part, my conversations revolve around baseball, which, is one of the reasons I wrote The Big Diamond.
So we're gonna talk about the book in a second, but I just want to spend a little more time on your background. In reading your book, you obviously understand hitting and fielding and throwing and the nuances of baseball. I mean, I was very, very impressed with your baseball knowledge, even though it's written as a book to appeal to youngsters, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But you're a pretty good player, I understand. Yourself?
Yep, not bad. I honestly, I played my whole life. I did a lot of traveling, a lot of travel teams, all the way from T-ball, Little League, high school, college, all the way into independent baseball. I kind of stopped.
So you played in college and independent baseball?
So I played, all the way through. I actually owned my own team, independent team in Rhode Island.
You what?
Independent baseball team. We were called the Warriors. Thought about wearing that jersey at first, to be honest with you, but I decided with the let's go vintage with the Roy Hobbs.
Yeah, I like that. And the Warriors, that was out of Woonsocket, Rhode Island?
That was out of Woonsocket, yeah. We were a 14-team league. We played about 45, 50 games a season, depending on the weather. It's not that great.
So is this professional or college summer league?
So it's kind of like a college summer league, basically.
Okay.
It ranges between about 18 to 27 years old. We had some older guys, we had some younger guys, but it's around that college level age.
Wow,
And
that's
we did
great.
traveling, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut. We were mainly in that general area.
Now the Newport Gulls, was it part of that? Was it part of that?
No, but we did play there, and we did play them.
Okay.
But we weren't specifically in their league.
You know, JC, I don't know if you know, I was a left-handed hitter, and I only got to play at that, what is it, Cardines Field down there in Newport. I only got to play there 2 or 3 times, and they have a right field that is so short. And I never pulled one and hit one out there, and I was always mad. Maybe someday I can go back. Maybe you can throw me some batting practice. I'll see.
You're
if I can
never
get
you're
one
never
out of
too
it.
old. You're never too old to pick up a bat. You're never too old.
I think the swing is still pretty good. I just don't know if there's any power behind it anymore. That's the problem.
When's the last time you picked up a bat?
Well, I pick one up all the time, but actually swing at a baseball, it's got to be 12 years.
Well, yeah. I occasionally, since I stopped
10 years.
playing, I pick it up every now and then. I have a bat, one of my wooden bats next to my nightstand.
Yep.
And I kind of
I
just
got
hold
bats
that.
all over my house for self-defense.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's why I got that there. I got them in the basement. I got them all over. So, and I definitely have baseballs all around. I was actually oiling my glove last night. Not that I'm going to be out there in the field anytime soon, but I've had the same glove.
Wait a minute. You just said on my breaking in a glove, maintaining a glove, the smell of the leather, the smell of the oil. That is like that's one of the greatest parts of baseball. Sorry, it is. As a kid, right, JC? Getting that brand new glove and then figuring out how to break it in and molding it to your own hand and then maintaining it. I mean, was that one of the greatest joys in life, getting a brand new glove?
It really was. And it honestly, like I said, I'm doing it now and I'm not playing, and it still is. It is a soothing mechanism of some sort.
Yep.
Even if you're a kid and 10 years old or you're in your 30s now, it is therapeutic in a way. And I was actually doing that last night, knowing that I was doing this podcast today. I was, a little fidgety. I saw my glove in the corner of the room and I was like, yeah, let me oil it up. Let me get all the tools out. I thought about throwing it in the oven. Now, do you know that trick, the oven trick?
Well, I've heard of that trick. I mean, you're talking about for a brand new glove?
Well, I wasn't doing a brand new glove, but in this conversation, yeah.
Breaking in it's maintaining the glove, it's breaking in. What I ended up doing, especially as I got older, I would soak it in water.
Yep.
So it became a little more malleable, and then I keep my hand in it and pound the ball in it relentlessly for about a week until it was perfectly fit to my hand. So when it got wet, you could work with it a little better.
Yeah.
And then the mink oil, and of course the saddle soap to clean it and all that. What was your technique? Tell me about the oven technique.
So when I got my first baseman's mitt, which we can talk about when we get into the book, because
first baseman's mitts were the best.
That is completely in the book as a true story. Now the book is fiction, but there are many aspects of it that is me. The first baseman's mitt story is 100% what happened to me and the occurrences of it. When I got my first baseman's mitt, I remember. And this was before technology. I mean, I am a millennial, but when I was around that 11 years old, 12 years old age, we didn't have things like YouTube and things like that.
Right,
so it was a lot of word of mouth. And I don't remember exactly how it happened, but my dad told me that, there was some sort of technique that he heard about through the grapevine about breaking your glove inside of the oven. We had no idea how to do it. Now, I didn't grow up in a lavish lifestyle. My parents are working class people. We did not have a lot of money. I will say I always had the best equipment though. That was something my dad always took care of at the end of the day. And we took this $400 glove and we wet it and then we stuck it in the oven.
Yeah.
With the oven light on and just staring at it, hoping it didn't burst out in flames. And it didn't. I took it out of the oven. We let it sit. And, a half hour later, it was fantastic.
Wow. Half hour. Wow. I would also beat the hell out of my glove with the bat, just pound on it to, the wrist thing back there where the leather's thick and hard. the reason I bring all this up, because it's some of this stuff, that these joys of baseball that you write about and allude to in your book, and so, it's just some of the off-field joys about your book. So let's talk about that. Let me bring up, your book, which people can buy on Amazon, and we'll talk more about where people can get it in a little towards the end, JC. But the Big Diamond is basically about a young boy going from the Little League Diamond at age 12 to playing with the older kids, 13, 14, 15 on the Big Diamond, and how it seemed to be such a daunting experience. Go ahead and tell us a little bit more.
So I started writing this book earlier in the year, and I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to kind of tell my story in a way, especially being out of baseball for about 5 or 6 years now, not playing, that is. I have insomnia, and so I'm always up at night, and I'm always thinking about things. And I started, I guess you would say, writing a journal, but that journal ended up becoming baseball focused, of course. And the journal ended up me writing stories down of my childhood, different memories I had. That turned into an outline. That turned into a first couple chapters. And then I realized I love doing this. Like, I'm not going to lie, I love doing it. And I started doing research, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, seeing what was out there. I knew it wanted to be centered towards kids around that age, but also if an adult picked it up, they would enjoy it too. Maybe recall their own memories they had
So
with their children.
let me jump in there. And you nailed it right there. I mean, this is a story about a young boy and his teammates and all that. But it was a really enjoyable read for me as an adult, especially as a baseball professional myself. Again, so whether you're amateur lover of baseball, professional, or just a lover of kids, I think I would say anybody from age 10 on up would really enjoy this book. It's such an easy and enjoyable read, JC.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And that's kind of the target market that I've been going for, around 10 to 14 to start off. But I've had countless people, adults, people in their 20s tell me how much they enjoyed it. And I did want it to be a very short read. I wanted you to want more. There are cliffhangers in the book. There are going to be cliffhangers in the series. The second book, for the most part, it's 82
It's only
pages.
75 pages. Like we said, it's a very quick read. It's only $7 on Amazon. I think the Kindle version is what?
It's $1, and if you have a Kindle, it's free. So you can't beat it. If you do have a Kindle, it's free, and it's $1 if you want the ebook version.
So, other than writing down into paper your joy of the game, and I assume what your character Ryan Parker goes through emulates a lot of your thoughts and experiences as a young ball player yourself, but do you have a larger purpose in this? Is there some moral to the story in addition to just the great baseball experiences you write about?
So there definitely is. It kind of started as I started buying children's baseball books. That's kind of how it started. After I had my outline, I wanted to see what was already out there. And there's a lot of things that a ball player goes through in their life. And one of the biggest things, and the first thing, is that transition from the Little League Diamonds, from literally T-ball all the way up until about 12 years old. You are playing on Little League Diamond. And from my experience and from my research, there's no one talking about that big change. And I started doing research, and I started looking up statistics. And the number one age where children stop playing baseball is that 12 to 13 year gap.
Right. No, that's true.
And that's because...
True. Yeah,
it shows, you really have to be experienced and have some sort of talent underneath all of the effort to play on that big diamond, to play with not only, 12-year-olds, but you're playing with 12, 13, 14, sometimes 15-year-olds on that diamond. And that's where a lot of players...
I was a pretty good player, and I'll never forget the first time I went out on the big diamond. I was a shortstop. And that throw from shortstop to first base was a hell of a long throw.
It's a long way. And I was a third baseman. I was a catcher for a while. And then I became a third baseman. And I remember going to the tryouts for, the senior league baseball. And I knew that my arm wasn't great. I was always a good hitter. I was a pretty good fielder. My arm was crap, to be honest with you. It took a long time to get my arm to where my other skill sets were, but I saw those throws and I made some bad throws on those tryouts, and I knew that I had to transition to something else. And then that's where I started playing first base. My dad got me a mitt, and so on and so forth.
All right, now lean back, get away from the camera anymore. Let me see a little more of you. Maybe even stand up. You got the build of a catcher. It looks like to me.
I was a catcher, like I said, for a while. But yeah, I'm 6'1", I'm 280.
Boy, really?
I fluctuated a bit, but
were you always a big kid?
I'm always. I was a 12-year-old hovering over everybody else for the most part.
So you were probably too big to be a catcher then. Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty.
Yeah,
big
first base is right for you then. Okay.
Yep. I think 12 years old, I was 5'8", 5'9", give or take, and then I went through one more growth spurt at 14. I became 6 feet, and I think I gained 1 more inch after that. I'm not particularly tall for a first baseman. There was always taller first basemen at tryouts. Always taller
6'1", yeah. Well, yeah, but if you're 6'1" now, you must have been pretty tall, relatively speaking, as a kid. So,
yeah, as a kid, yeah, I was definitely one of the taller kids. When I got to that, 16 to early 20s age, I was always competing with taller guys. I was competing sometimes with 6'5", 6'6" guys. But honestly, my bat always prevailed. Yeah.
Let me ask this just as an aside. Now, you're right about a young boy, Ryan Parker, going from Little League field to the senior. Of course, some towns have Pony League, which is kind of an intermediate sized diamond. I never played Pony League. I don't know if you did, but I went right from the small to the big. I think Pony League's pretty much antiquated now. But you're right that it was because that transition, does scare away a lot of kids. Now, with your story, I want to think of girls. I want to think of softball. Now, girls pretty much always play on the same size diamond.
As far as I know, yeah, they always.
But it's just that as you go, you still make that jump though. When you go from Little League softball to senior Little League softball, you're now playing against kids who are much bigger, 13, 14, 15. So you're playing against much, much higher caliber. So while the field might not be as big a jump, there's certainly the level of competition. Have you heard are women or young girls enjoying your book as well?
So yeah, they are. And that is a great point you made. It's actually tougher because I've done research through all of this. That transition in softball is even tougher because I believe it's still about 40 feet, the distance between in that age group. But you're playing as a 12-year-old, 14-year-olds who are throwing much harder in that same, same distance. Yeah. So that looks like it's going, anywhere between 20, 25 miles an hour faster, even though it's only a couple of years difference. But they're going from basically slow pitch to fast pitch. And that's a whole other ball game. And they do say that hitting a softball is actually harder than hitting a baseball.
Oh, I've seen some, I think the guy's name was the King in His Court. I think it was called. He used to have him, a catcher, and 2 fielders, a first baseman and an outfielder. And he would play against a team that had, a full complement of 9 fielders and beat him.
Yeah.
Because he was so hard to hit. And these will be against, I've seen him do it against ball players. I've seen big league expeditions. They can't hit him. So women, you're right. The women fast pitch softball, I've seen women pitchers strike out big league hitters. So, yeah, you're right. Okay. So, now this is just I think you said it. This is just your first of a planned series of books, right?
Yeah. So the first one basically revolves around that. The first few chapters, that initial transition from the small diamond, the big diamond, the challenges that he goes through, the mindset, the wanting to quit, but prevailing, that aspect of it. And it leads into what actually happened in my real life, where I was drafted to a team where I didn't know anybody. All of my friends were on one particular team, and a rivalry began. And around that age, is when those rivalries do start. You kind of get that feeling in you that you want to be a rival to someone, you want to compete. That level of competitiveness really starts at that age too. So the book kind of handles that a little bit. I didn't give Ryan too many obstacles to overcome in the first book. Like I said, I wanted the reader of the young age to be able just to fully get it, not be too overwhelmed by it, and want more at the end of the day. The second book, which is called A Different View, Ryan begins to have the next set of challenges a ball player goes through. You're entering high school, a lot more level of work, schoolwork, juggling a first job, juggling girls, all the things on the outside world of baseball that is competing for your time, for your effort, everything involved. And the second book that will be released shortly really continues to dive into that theme of the challenges that you overcome. And one of the reasons why I want to make that a point is because, honestly, baseball has made me who I am today.
Yeah, it's a life lesson.
It really is. And you know, as an adult watching this podcast, say, if you're looking to get a job in the corporate world, if you're looking to get a job with the government, it doesn't matter where you're looking to get a job, because we're all going to get jobs at the end of the day. Everyone is looking for a team player. Everyone is looking for someone who can work around others, who can, you know, overcome challenges on the team. And that all derives not just from baseball, sports in general. You could say a lot of hobbies in general do that. Or
But the difference, JC, and I know you know it, you've heard it, it's kind of a trite phrase, but it's true. Baseball is the only sport or activity I can think of, job, school, where failure 7 out of 10 times makes you a great player.
Absolutely.
A 300 hitter
is a Hall of
Famer.
Famer
7 out of 10 times.
Yep.
And not to mention the shame, dealing with the almost every game shame of striking out and making that long walk back to the dugout. You know, I look at big league players today. Well, let me go say it a different way. I was watching a game with my mom recently, last summer. And she knows somebody struck out. And if you watch, you'll see as the guy's walking back to the dugout, he starts looking out towards center field or the mound or out that way. And they go, she goes, why do those batters? I said, because they're embarrassed. They don't want to look at their teammates they don't want to look at the fans who they're walking by. They're embarrassed that they just struck out. Yep. So you look away, you avoid that eye contact, and I felt that. I used to do that.
Yep. I think that's definitely
dealing
the case.
with that is a great life lesson.
Absolutely. I do definitely believe that, because I have done that myself. Making eye contact after that is a huge avoidance. I think also they're looking, like on a called strike, they're looking at the Jumbotron to see the replay. I do think a lot of players do that, because Wilyer Abreu on the Sox does that all the time.
That's a good point. That's a fair point.
And I'm not going to lie, as I love baseball, I have a huge season ticket package for the Sox. And Wilyer Abreu is notorious for taking third call strikes, and then immediately as he's walking back, looking at the Jumbotron in center field to see if it was a strike. And he shakes his head when he was wrong every single time. And when he was right, he immediately just goes back into the dugout.
Yeah, there's not too many.
I do know your point.
There's not too many times you get called out on third strikes where even if it was right down the middle, you go, oh, the umpire missed that one.
Yeah. Speaking of striking out in professionals, honestly, the game has changed, and there's a lot of things I don't like about it. We don't have to go deep into it. I don't like the rule changes. I don't like the level of strikeouts that there is. Everyone, on average, is striking out close to 200 times. I think the game is. I think they're dumbing down the game. To be honest with you, that's just my personal opinion. I don't like the timing of it. Baseball was the only sport, and the reason I loved it is because there was no clock. My entire life, why do you love baseball? Because there's no clock. Why do you like baseball? Because I'm not timed. The pitcher may have the ball in their hands, but everyone is responsible. Everyone accounts for the time on the field, not just the pitcher. That's why I love the game. That's why I still love the game. But it's I everything is marketing and trying to get the new generation interested, and I understand all of that. You're competing with football, you're competing with basketball, but there's a part in my book where I talk about this isn't little league anymore. This is senior baseball. This is old school ball, and that is a nod. My own, you wouldn't know this if I didn't say it, but that's a nod to the MLB. That's a nod to, I bring me back old school baseball.
I agree with you generally. I do approve of the speed up rules. I do understand that it kind of interferes with the traditional lack of clock of the game. But some of these pitchers like Papelbon, I mean, they were just insane, 30 to 40 seconds between a pitch. I mean, it was just making the game really unwatchable. And you have to market it too. But I agree with you in large part. But
I just think the umpires should they should just give more. It should have just been on the umpires to change that. Hey, speed up the game, or the guys.
I don't like the man on second and extra inning. I don't like the lack of shifts. You can't shift in defense. That's all part of the game.
You can only throw over so many times to first base. It honestly, it drives my dad nuts more than me, to be honest with you, because we'll be watching a game and it's like disgusting. And it's disgusting to me too, to be honest with you. I'm not going to downplay it. But for him,
let's talk about the joys of baseball, because to me, there is nothing like being outside in the sun, on the green grass, in the heat of the summer or spring, with your friends on a sand lot, with your teammates on a professional baseball field, like spring training, shagging balls in the outfield, and just a lazy batting practice session. In the early morning in Florida, sun and spring training, there was nothing better.
I wish I was in the Florida sun now doing that, but
I know.
I absolutely agree, and it's
but what other sport gives you that? I mean,
none.
It's got that slow pace that you love and I love too. You're outdoor in the sun. Every other major sport is action, 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 fast, 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 indoor, indoor. Soccer is outside, but it's fast, 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 kind of thing. But there's nothing like just hanging out in the outfield or even in the infield at first. I mean, I love first base too, because you could talk to the other players on the team as they get into the pro ball.
And
Speaking of
I dive into that into the second book because I was huge on that. Talking to the guys on first base, having conversations, getting to know other players and the umpires. A huge thing is the umpires.
Yeah, the umpires too, sure.
And a different view, not to promote the second one because I just released the first one, but I dive into that. He ends up, not to give it away, but it's on the cover. He ends up his first job being a part-time umpire.
Oh, okay.
And
well, I think you will. I think that's how you end the first book, right?
I end the first book with him signing up to go to umpire training.
Yeah.
And I dive into that to the second book where you learn another part of the game. And growing up, I was always talking to umpires all the time. How you doing? The respect of the umpire is also part of the game. Not in like a bad way. You want to get extra calls because you were nice. Nothing of that sort. Just more, they are part of the game too. They umpire because they love it. Unless you're a professional umpire, you're making $30 a game, maybe a little league game.
It's for the love of the game.
They love the game just as much as you do, and they're doing it for a different reason, or maybe they can't play or they're too old. And I had friends that umpired, and I wanted to umpire too. And speaking to the umpire at first base was always one of my favorite things.
Very social position.
It's a very social position, and I was a very social person.
I can tell. All right, two more things before we wrap up. What I loved about your book was the way you captured a lot of the thought process, the personal conversations, the camaraderie, the encouragement that teammates give to each other, not just when they are successful, but how you pick each other up. Like we said, when you fail 7 out of 10 times, or when you strike out, you can often rely on, or should in a good team, rely on your teammates to pick you up. I love all of that. You really, really do a great job bringing all that out. So those in between innings or off field conversations about baseball, about friendship, about camaraderie were really, really strong. And I really enjoyed that.
I appreciate that. And that was a big thing with me. It's not always, there's a lot of play by play, and there's chapters where it's just about a game, and I enjoy those chapters too. But some of my favorite chapters is the stuff that he took on the field and out of the field and out of the field back into the field, because that's life at the end of the day.
So, and then you and I have talked about this. I hope you don't mind me saying it live, but there's one thing, as you know, that I would like to see more of, that I was starving for more of in your first book, and I hope you'll give it to me in your next few books, is a little more of that nostalgia, not just baseball history, but like we talked about, the breaking in of a glove, the new cleats you get, the new bat you get, how you hurt, all that kind of little stuff. You made some nice allusions to his nostalgia with the grandfather and his old first baseman. I was dying for more of it. I was just dying for more of it. So that, whatever that's worth, that's what this crazy old fool.
I appreciate it, and I promise you there will be more of that.
All right. All right. So let's go back. So is Amazon the best place to buy your book? Again, it's not too late for a Christmas gift. They'll get it to you before Christmas.
Amazon is definitely the best place, and it's the cheapest place.
All right. So we got a hardcover, we got a Kindle, we got a paperback. I have the paperback right here. And then Amazon will get it to you before Christmas.
They'll get it to you tomorrow, according to that.
That's right. Look at that, tomorrow. Yep. So you still got some time, but I really recommend it as it's such a nice, fun, easy read. And then when are you expecting the next book to come out this year?
So it just ran through its second draft. So I'm going to get it back. I'm going to read it about 3 or 4 different times, and I would say mid-January. I'm
soon. Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm shooting for January 15th. Yeah.
And it will be a quick 75, similar kind of.
It's gonna be a little longer. There's about 5 or 6 more chapters. So we're looking at probably around 100 pages, give or take.
Yeah. Still an easy read. I mean, I read it on half a plane flight. I read the whole thing. So it was a great read. Jc Roberto, you are a true baseball fan. There's not a lot of us left.
No, there isn't.
So if you want to rekindle, to use a pun, if you want to rekindle that old baseball spirit we all have, because it still is America's game. It may not be the biggest revenue. I don't know what it's TV, but I'm telling you, baseball hits the core of Americans. It's our spirit. We fight back even with all the failures, and of course it was our original sport. Back in the late 1800s, whether it was Doubleday or somebody else, baseball is America to me. Baseball helped build America, I believe, and I still believe in some way it's America's sport. And the way you captured it in your book, and will continue to write about, I applaud you for it. Last word to you, Jc Roberto.
I just want to say thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate you promoting the book. For me, it's not about the money. Obviously it every single day I've made sales since it's come out, and that really makes me happy. But at the end of the day, if it reaches one kid that maybe wants to quit ball, or maybe, isn't enjoying it as much anymore, and somehow finds a little extra passion from reading the book, then it was all worth it.
Yes, well, it's definitely worth it for me, and I'm glad to see it's worth it for you as the author and influencer. And so please tune in. JC, have a blessed Christmas, and do let me know when the next book's out, and we'll have you back on again. That's simple.
Absolutely. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
All right, Jc Roberto, folks, the book, The Big Diamond. Get it at Amazon. Jc Roberto. You, our viewers, thank you for tuning in. So until next game, literally, it's the first time we've had a game on this show in a long time, a real baseball. I've got to do more of this, I think. But until then, Mike Sten out. See you then.